Good afternoon. It's a pleasure to be here this afternoon with the CORE Network. It's a pleasure to share the stage with Secretary Bernhardt. I mentioned to my husband, who Mary Ellen just mentioned earlier this morning, that I was going to be following the Secretary, and he joked with me that wasn't that a buffalo and rabbit stew? And I said, are you calling the Secretary a buffalo, or are you calling me a rabbit? But I think his point was that the Department of Interior is mighty and mighty larger than the Corporation for National and Community Service. But we share a wonderful partnership, and as I mentioned, it's an honor to be here this afternoon with all of you who are such great partners to us at CNCS. So congratulations to Mary Ellen, who, again, with her team, has done a great job putting together a really great conference, and we're delighted to be part of it. By virtue of Mary Ellen's and my role, we're both well acquainted with many of the National Park Service's facilities that the Secretary oversees. And I loved hearing the Secretary talk about his personal experience working alongside AmeriCorps members, working alongside some of you perhaps, carrying out important work in places like Yellowstone or on the public lands in Taos, New Mexico. As the Secretary got to experience firsthand, our members, our AmeriCorps members, are working hard to protect our national treasures for this generation and for the next. About 18 months ago, I had the pleasure of working alongside the Secretary here in Washington, D.C., and you heard his background, and he is an outdoorsman and a knowledgeable guy about these sorts of things. I, on the other hand, kind of a little bit of a city gal. So when I waded in to remove invasive species, I didn't realize I was wandering into a field of poison ivy. So had I just been standing next to the Secretary, I'd have done a much better job. But despite that crazy little experience, it has been such an honor for me to work alongside of our AmeriCorps members doing the important work that y'all do. Every year, thousands of AmeriCorps members and our senior Corps volunteers as well volunteer support environmental stewardship by partnering with government and nonprofit organizations to preserve, grow, and restore lands and parks across our country. And as I mentioned, I've had the chance to meet or serve alongside several of you over the last 2 years, and it is always inspirational. You remind me why we do the work that we do. I'm proud that nearly 4,000 AmeriCorps members will have the opportunity to serve as a result of CNCS grants made to the CORE Network this year. And I'm proud that CNCS has been supporting Youth Conservation Corps programs since the founding of our agency more than 25 years ago. AmeriCorps and the CORE Network share much in common. We share similar goals to provide environmental stewardship and care. We share a commitment to responding in the time of disaster, and we share a dedication to giving everyone a chance to serve, including young people who need a change. I've lived most of my adult life in cities. I'm from Chicago and also have lived in Baltimore. But even for a city girl like me, the most enduring images of our country are often found in its great natural beauty. The parklands, the mountains, the rivers, our wonderful national parks. They all remind me of the connection we share with the larger world in which we live. And the great national monuments that we've been blessed with in this country are often captured in almost postcard-like images. But everyone in this room knows that they're much more than just pretty pictures. They represent qualities like stability, strength, resilience, traits that I believe define our nation and our people. Our national parks and public lands are such important places for respite and reflection, and they play essential roles in the lives of our fellow citizens and attract visitors from across the world. Visiting these spaces in person and spending concentrated time in them, as our AmeriCorps members in the CORE Network get to do, is a sure way to get a better understanding of our role as their stewards, and it's our job to protect these resources and preserve this scenic beauty for generations yet to come. All the Corps in this room can look back to the Civilian Conservation Corps that began its work 80 years ago to establish some of our most important public spaces. The CCC literally cleared a path that we'll follow today in environmental stewardship and lovers of nature. There are many reasons CNCS supports the ideas behind the 130 service and conservation corps in the Corps network, and why we support the AmeriCorps members who get to discover or confirm their love for these great national resources through their service. When men and women serve in conservation corps, they connect to opportunities that are difficult to find anywhere else. And while they serve, they're imprinted with qualities like resilience, creativity, problem solving, and leadership that opens doors to opportunity and to employment. The Corps Network program provides training that leads to greater responsibility and helps members develop skills that often turn into careers, some unexpected and some fulfilling lifelong dreams. Young people who may have struggled to stay on the right path are finding second chances, inspiration, and pathways to better lives through this important work. Your Corps teams are cut from a different cloth. You all rush forward when others are retreating. You are there at times of disaster, helping communities at their times of greatest need. I hope you all feel the pride of the great work that you're doing. Sometimes these calls are to help in times of huge headline-driving disasters like a hurricane or a wildfire, but sometimes they're flooding or a tornado or something that's very local. And our observation is that Corps Network members stay long after the TVs are gone, helping to rebuild communities, helping to rebuild lives in a really, really meaningful way. No matter the disaster in which you may be serving, your team experiences firsthand how devastating these events are to our public lands and to the people in local communities. And every day, your teams are making a difference for local families through some of the toughest days of their lives. Earlier, I mentioned the respite that many find in our public spaces. Some, like our returning veterans, make connections that help them re-enter society and again experience the camaraderie that may be difficult to find in civilian life. Workforce development is one of the top priorities of the Trump administration, and I believe Secretary Bernhardt and Mary Ellen will agree with me about the importance service and the Corps Network programs are performing in this area. Your work opens doors for young adults and our veterans and demonstrates some of the ways we can ensure that this economy works to help everyone achieve success. Like the brave men and women of our military, we don't believe in leaving anyone behind. The potential that dwells within each of us can make a difference in countless ways. At CNCS, we believe the power of our citizens is one of our greatest renewable resources for good, both for those performing service and for those being served. It doesn't matter if our AmeriCorps members come to us from a rural area or a suburban town or a high-rise apartment in a city. There'll always be opportunities for service. National service is for everyone. That's a vision I hold for AmeriCorps and for national service. And as many of you may be aware, last year was CNCS and AmeriCorps' 25th anniversary. During the last year, we've had the chance to celebrate a quarter century of American service and national service. And now that it's 2020, in this new year, we're going to work to ensure the foundation that's been built for national service and for our support for the Corps Network continues for the next 25 years, and 25 after that, and 25 after that. CNCS has done some exciting work in the past year to ensure that programs like the Corps Network can remain strong. We've simplified our application process and our reporting structures to allow you to focus on the work that matters and spend less time on the paperwork that we require. This is an ongoing process, always room for improvement. But in 2020, we'll continue to revise our internal grants management models and reshape how we do business with the aim of improving better customer service to all of you. And we'll be focused on improving recruitment, an ongoing challenge. We'll be focused on improving recruitment for all our AmeriCorps programs. It's my goal that all Americans know of their opportunity to serve. You can't serve in the core network, you can't serve in any of our programs if you've never heard of it. And it's here that you all can be important ambassadors for us as well, sharing your stories of the life-changing power of your experience with service. We want to raise the profile of AmeriCorps and our important partners so that all Americans know about these opportunities. Over the next year, I look forward to sharing details about our increased focus on promoting national service on a nationwide scale. I'm excited for how we'll have that opportunity to tell your stories of service more broadly, because the service that you do is a priority for our agency. As I'm sure you're all well aware, environmental stewardship is one of 6 focus areas for our department, and it's a priority for us every day, one that we talk about every day. Thank you. In fact, AmeriCorps has nearly doubled our dollar investment in environmental stewardship projects over the last 5 fiscal years. And I'm proud that our AmeriCorps state and national program has increased its annual investment in environmental conservation work by $30 million over the past 5 years. This investment speaks loudly to the importance of the work that you're doing. Environmental stewardship is an important part of the legacy of our nation and of the Corporation for National and Community Service. We treasure it dearly and will protect it because of its value to millions who visit, use, and enjoy our public lands. We see this value in our projects and service. We see it in the value that congressional appropriators place on the work that you're doing, and we see it in our increasing investment in the environmental stewardship area. The people in this room know better, perhaps than anyone, no matter how much we do, there is always more work to be done, particularly on our public lands. For example, the deferred facilities maintenance backlog in our national parks is a serious issue, and it's very real. Natural and man-made disasters continue to trouble our country throughout the entire United States. And thousands of Americans struggle to find an opportunity to enter work that leads them to a meaningful career. The work that you all do each and every day to address these serious issues is so important. Our country benefits from the programs you lead in so many ways, and you really are the unsung heroes of our public lands. So thank you. On behalf of all of us at CNCS, I want to again reiterate my thanks. Thank you for clearing the pathway, literally and figuratively, that makes a difference across our America the beautiful. I'm so proud to work alongside you, really appreciate the partnership, and I'm very grateful to have been invited to join you this afternoon.